draped in silk, monochrome, luminous. She glides across the stage like a swan upon midnight waters. The audience smiles, a shiver of excitement. Breaths are held, waiting. A storm rages within the soul. Shadows form where angels walk. A restless fire ignites. A dream awakens, fierce with desire. Her fingers hover, trembling above the silent keys. A canvas waiting to breathe, echoes deep inside, a symphony of emotions poised to unfold. Wakefulness descends. The world dissolves in inner light. No conscious thought, no guiding hand, only the soul rising to command. Memories stir, bright, bleak. The notes unfold like petals in spring. A melody of longing takes wing. No longer mere wood and ebony, the piano becomes a living force. A cathedral of sound and light. The bass resounds thunder deep. The treble cries, revealing secrets long kept in silence. Each note, a footnote carved in time. Her touch strikes fierce and sure. Arpeggios cascade like amorous waterfalls. She leaps across the chasm of sound. Chords colliding, harmonies entwined. Her fingers weave a dance. A struggle fleeting as a line. Her keys bleed as a streak of light. From one end to the other, weak, trembling, yet unyielding. This surging tide demands release. A fragile whisper, a moment's breath. The melody softens, overflows, and washes through her and the crowd alike. It speaks of loss, of dreams turned dust, of fleeting joy and passion's lust. Melancholy sleeps into the bone, a longing for solace never known. The audience feels her pain, her flame. Each key unveils her name. Yet, in the midst of gloom, a spark endures, a distant beacon trembling and pure, a fragile inspiration takes its flight, a butterfly ascending into the light. The piano weeps and cries, a burning heart laid bare, agony and beauty intertwined, truth unveiled in every line. Fire rises from the ash. Athenas takes the stage anew. The triple quickens, rain resigns, power surges through her veins. This landscape, forged by pain, now sings the triumph of life. Melodies soar with wings of grace. In this sacred place, she is reborn. Liberated, wow, the music breaks its chains. It floods the hall with radiant sound. Darkness dissolves in luminous hues. Hope dances in every tune. A victory sounds fierce, profound. Every heart is crowned with light. She closes her eyes. The waves embrace her. She becomes flame and breath, a living echo of Scriabin's soul. Each note flows through her fingertips, a river of spirit and desire, binding the music to the deepest corners of every heart. The music breathes with life, echoes his pain, celebrates his flight, a saga of color, hope, and despair, rising beyond the mortal fray, triumphant, soaring, eternal. The music swelled, a beast unleashed, a tidal wave cresting, brilliant, blinding. Then, a glorious burst, a shower of notes, scars exploding across the velvet black. The hall is filled, breathless, radiant. Helen's hands, the gentle sculptures of the storm, hover above the silent keys, waiting. A radiant smile danced across her lips. The spotlight dims. Shadow enfolds her. Silence. Breath held. A single clap. Hesitant. Brave. A petal dropped in the steel gray sapphire lake. Then the roar, applause, thunderous, a wave of awe and love. Helen bowed, graceful, long, and vanished into the wings, leaving only the echoes and the memory of magic. A father's desperate plea. In Gaza, where shadows stretch long into the night, death whispers a bitter lullaby of songs. Here we sit, hungry, thirsty, hearts raising with fright. As blooms of gunfire echo and rise, pops and bangs in rapid succession, like thunder in a raging storm. My children huddle close, Adam's eyes wide with sorrow and dread. Maya clings to me like a mooing lion cub, weak and new. Silence shatters our fragile dreams. I hold their trembling hands, hiding my fear behind prayer. Allah, will we survive? I promise, I pray, that hope's last thread would not unravel. The world has turned its back, watching, waiting for us to fade away. Each hour drips slowly, like water wearing down stone. Yet, I cradle their fears with words meant to soothe as tears burn my cheeks. How can this ever again be called home? Help is on the way, I whisper each day, knowing the lie cuts deeper than silence. The truth will only bring more despair. Allah, forgive me for this sin. Another dawn breaks, without food, without rest. I look into their faces and see all that is unspoken. Two fragile souls caught in the storm of destruction. No parent should ever witness such sorrow. No child should ever know such fear before the chance to laugh freely. Yet here we are, trapped in a symphony of missiles, bombs, and drones, all the sounds of chaos and death drown the gentle voice of love. Allah, please hear my prayer. Hear this father's desperate plea. Do you see us behind these crumbling walls? Do you see that we are the forgotten? I stand here with my children, a fortress forged from grief and sorrow, but every heartbeat echoes a weight too great to bear. Silence fills their mouths. Of those who claim to care while indifference looms large over this space of death where humanity lies broken. this poem in honor of Maya Angelou. It requires a female voice, but I'm going to do my best to kind of channel a female. In the quiet corners of my heart, the classroom hum, a hive of whispering answers surrounded me, and I was a small bee buzzing, a queen becoming. My hand, like a sapling reaching for the sunlight, always shooting up, eager, unafraid. They said I was loud, disruptive, that I should listen more and speak less, that a girl should be seen, not heard, a black porcelain doll of quiet obedience. But the words inside me, a river pushing against a dam, needed release, needed air to paint the world in the color of my voice. So I spoke, yes. I spoke with such strength. I argued with history books. I questioned the science, unraveled poetry to its gleaming bones. Why? I asked over and over again, why? My voice, sometimes shaking, sometimes laced with defiance I didn't know I had. Should I even show it? They rolled their eyes, they laughed, said I was too much, too opinionated, too bold, too black. They wanted me to shrink, to fold, to disappear, but I refused. In the echo of my voice, I found myself. In the clash of ideas, I discovered my strength. The world didn't know my name, didn't understand the fire burning within me. Not until I opened my mouth and spoke the words they did not want to hear. I feed myself by reading, by learning, by knowing me. So I let them call me loud. Let them call me difficult. Let them spit their small words, their venom disguised as truth. Let them call me a crazy bitch, a proud, strong black woman in umber skin, heels scarlet red, a dash of pink, a dress cut low and shining, alive, sexy, unbroken and divine. Let them call me anything they wish. Would that make their dreams come true? Because now they know I'm here, reclaiming, defining, becoming. Yes, call me rough, call me crazy, call me woman, call me free. Because silence has never built anything, never changed anything, never saved anyone. I challenged, I questioned, I spoke, and I took their hurt-filled blackish words and made them mine.
Ooh, wow.
Woman, I saw you walking down the street today, headed home. My goodness, the way the pavement seemed to yield to your heels, the rhythm of your walk a drumbeat for the whole city to follow. Did you know you brought the sun to his knees just by passing? Every man turned to watch.
Let them admire this queen, but my heart belongs to one. The sun past its prime, that was never my calling. I follow my own rhythm, not to pace heaven or men. Those with idle eyes should be working, feeding families, building futures. Some days, my steps are a march, others, a prayer. And sometimes, Lord, just a weary shuffle trying to live, making it through another day.
I know that march. I seen it carved in the clean, beautiful, hard lines of your face. It tells a story without words, our story, the story of our people. I sat and watched, grateful, not for your beauty, but for your resolve, always moving forward, keeping this man in line.
A woman's will ain't to be taken lightly, nor should it be underestimated. It's soil turned over and over, cotton picked by bare hands. Generations deep the dust from our struggle, a fine red powder colored by blood, too much of it spilled, by others and sometimes our own. That blood keeps me walking, even when the path breaks beneath me, even when the world tilts wrong.
Honey, I try to honor that inheritance, but a man needs a strong woman to walk beside him. Your strength carves roads from stone, gives me breath when I'm hollow. My mother, my sisters, my grandmother, all live in your stride. Some days I feel that power heavy in my bones. Other days, the weight, is it just too much to bear?
Some days, it's a cage. That weight of history, the yoke of what's expected. From a black man, from a woman, the world would have you weak, silent, bowed. But I need you strong, not quiet, but thunder. You forget sometimes, but you are enough. That's why I share my burdens and give my love only to you.
The world takes what it wants, but tonight it's quiet. Just fireflies rising, the wood creeping soft between us, and our voices deep, warm, familiar. Baby, I love you. And maybe I'm feeling alone again, if you know what I mean.
You longing? What are you longing for tonight, babe?
You're funny.
No. Listen. That's the conversation. The space between the words. The silence that says, I see you. You are enough. The past holds power, but tonight, the power's in the present. In the breath we share, the moment we hold tight.
To let the shadows stretch, let the ghosts of yesterday rest. I'm here with my story and my silence. I'm here, baby, if you have me.
My silence is as deep as a well. I see the history in your hands and heart, and the courage in your eyes. And that is all the history I need for tonight, my love.
To let the night bear witness to the love that outlasts struggle and sound. No crowns, no thrones, just us, rooted in something sacred and unbroken. You and me, baby, still here, still standing, still home.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, and thank you, Jacalyn, for hosting this wonderful event. It's to my understanding that this is the first Vallejo Co-Poets Laureate event in the Exchange Vallejo. This is a space that just opened up this year, so it's really exciting to have such a full house and be welcomed here, and also to be included in the reading with Valdez Hill. I really enjoyed the way you perform and your writing, so thank you so much. It really is an honor to be here. So I'm gonna be reading some poems from my pretty new book. It came out this summer. It's called Itinerant Songs. I put it out through my small press, Recenter Press, and as Kathleen mentioned, I am currently open for submissions for my poetry journal through Recenter Press, both poetry and visual art. So if you're interested, feel free to come talk to me after the reading. I really love especially to prioritize local voices. And yeah, I am from Solano County, from Benicia, from Vallejo's sister city, so it's just really good to be here. So Itinerant Songs, it's split into 3 parts: on work, on country, and on going home. So I'm going to be reading a selection of poems from each of those 3 sections. So this first poem is called Locust Street, Philadelphia. I wrote it on my walk to work at the library. I cross the street. We lock eyes and bow our heads at the sidewalk. You in your sunglasses, me in the air. Strollers carrying hopes of mothers, children carrying dreams, fathers and sons. Thousands of gnats are born and make angels in the grass. University marches excavate parks for their expanse, remove the keepers of the black bottom. Further south, a deer walks across the train bridge while we pass underneath. Birds sing in the sanctuary hidden between the row houses. The landlords and the Rosemarys survive the winter. How many houseless didn't? How many people-less houses? Enough to warm us all. Sorry. Thank you. And this poem is house cleaning. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm like not sure how close to stand to the mic. Okay. House cleaning. Waking up in the body in early spring, being touched by the first signs of daylight, the sounds of leaf blowers and birds, a distant airplane, people speaking near the yard and the garden. My house is out of eggs, so I quickly toast a bagel, leave my dishes in the sink, eat my breakfast down the sidewalk through the street. For 4 hours and $100, I clean the house of 2 parents, 2 kids, enough room for 2 cars, 2 cats, and 2 house cleaners. I hand wash their dishes and do 4 loads of laundry, take their trash, sweep their floor, fold tiny children's clothes, no children of my own. I come home to do my own dishes, and my housemates do some of them too. 6 of us sharing and renting and caring for one another. I leave myself for hours on the couch, eat home-cooked salmon and broccoli, watch TV, check my phone, fall asleep. It's not automatic to notice. I say a prayer on the bathroom floor. I'm stepping into my shape. Waking up in the room instead of out of it, I put on the robe of my body. Wanting and working, my sacred home, my money maker. And this poem is morning routine. Discipline, like joy, is a matter of focus, but also conditions. I lift my eyes out of the great looming dark, work my hands into the foaming water, return my senses to a shared and honest body. Its signs and signals give themselves over to me in every degree, daily and readily. The presence of the Lord nearer to me than my own form. In communion of the body, we witness and bear our semi-reliable memory, our more reliable song, and the constant process of being changed by each other. Talking it out, loving and moving it through. And then this poem is called Thine is the Kingdom. It's for my former mentor, Dr. Anthony Montero, who just celebrated his 80th birthday the other day, so I wanted to read this poem for him. So he taught me so much about global politics, about working class movements, and I was really honored when he just invited me over for lunch. Sitting under the late March sun, Tony and I drink fresh beet and carrot juice on plastic lawn chairs in his garden. In the yard he was a boy in, and his mother became a mother in. I listened carefully and attentively to his decades in the Black freedom movement, and Tony makes us sandwiches, chopping tomatoes directly on his countertop, grilling tempeh in 2 even squares, and slapping mayonnaise on our bread, our daily bread. All around the city, the cherry blossom trees stretch like 2 palms around the songs of North Philly telephone wires, and a bearded, concentrated man on SEPTA bends closely towards his crossword, going about this day in his neon shoes and neon hat. Among people who Tony reminds me are the strength and source of thy kingdom. The common people, people like all of us beautiful children of God. Yeah, thank you. And this poem is Cedar Park Cafe. At Cedar Park Cafe, praised for their chicken and waffles, I sit at the corner table, and a young blonde child with their family in front of me takes a sip of water, looks right at their parents, raises their right hand back straight. I commit to not look at my phone even when it's right in front of me. I make the same commitment to myself every day. Before recovery, no amount of self-control could bring myself to stop it. I was sort of big, but the phone was bigger. This compulsion is real and serious. I thought it, I knew it. I'd prayed for my behavior to change the next day. First thing the next morning, my hand would up and move itself. No thought of the rest of the body. Like any addict, there is hope for us too. In recovery, yes, I turn to meetings, turn to phone calls, to God and to fellows and to readings. I pick up, I slip, I try again, further away from where I was, the hours and days, and closer to where I want to be. So many more hours, so many more days. My chicken and waffles are served. Melted butter and maple syrup and crispy chicken and warm, sweet, and spicy sauce. This is really making me crave chicken and waffles. I put my phone, just a notebook, back down. The parent, put your phone away. The child, we're going to have to put it in the fire of death. The parent, the phone? The child, yes, in the fire of death. The parent, we don't need to put it in a fire of death. And the phone. It's real eavesdropping. There's a few poems in here that are me eavesdropping while sitting alone at restaurants. So now I'm gonna read a couple of poems. How are we doing on time?
We are fine, yeah, we've got like 7 more minutes.
Oh great, perfect, thank you. I want to make sure I get a couple poems from each section. So now I'm going to read some poems from the section on country. And this poem is Caravan. A home is too much to leave behind after yet another US-funded war, forcing a people into motion through the rocks and the dirt, callousing all the bare feet. Carry the heirlooms, the boxes, the babies, and the blankets. A walking migration into manicured grass, with bird songs so convincing they can make you forget massacre. The US disappears you or turns you away, building you a wall or flying you into prisons. Car windows smashed in while you drive your beloved to the tulip farm where she works. The whole of your life is carried on your back. You crack beneath the wood. This poem is The Big Island. I keep busy as a sacred act of procrastination. Do the dishes, send an email, make a newsletter, organize the bookshelf. I could become so practiced at avoidance I buy a house, pick a place to stay, walk myself in circles and live in it. I've spent so much time in running and I know this will be used against me. My lack of ownership and my personal responsibility, my indecision and my failure of choice, my downward wages and exploitation somehow fallen on me. Family lineages of takers and the taken from. My Chinese lineage I know nothing about. My great-great-great-great-grandfather killed by his Chinese worker, my mother given away. The coup that went down and is still going down. The Ali'i resisting through my blood. Every particle becomes the big island and nothing can stop me where there isn't an end. Browsing Zillow in active volcano zones, Airbnbs all owned by Howleys. Every dollar I spend I feel guilty about, and the floors all turn to lava. So now I'm going to read a couple of poems from the Ongoing Home section. So Ongoing Home means multiple things to me. As one, as it was on coming home to the Bay Area, and also coming home to ourselves, and to me also coming home to a spiritual place within us and to faith. So I explore multiple of those themes in this section. So I'm going to read a poem for my grandmother, Terra Azevedo, who lived in Benicia for over 50 years. I let the spirit work through me on the dance floor, loose as a rag doll, trusting the somatics of it. In the old wooden dresser built into the bedroom wall, my mother and I find bins of miniature dresses perfectly crafted for my mother's dolls, plastic and aging. My Obachan made them like us with her hands. A sewing room turned into hospice room, once of lace, buttons, and crochet. My Obachan becomes a rag doll in my arms. In the evenings, I shake my body down. Please, put your arms around me and help me, I ask. She looks into my eyes, helplessly laughing, and smiles. I think I have time to read just a couple more short poems.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, great, thank you.
So thanks for checking.
Yes, no problem. Time doesn't happen when you're on the stage. This poem's Viscosity. The moment a loved one transitions, the entire world becomes a door. We are made to walk through it. The air is thick with oil. I beg the threshold to disappear. I close my child's eyes. In this dimming, frightening new world, a hole has opened in the sky. My hand reaches into it. The emptiness is unimaginable. And every loved one who has ever lived reaches back to me, carrying me one more step. So I think I'll just read one more poem. It's called The Way of Faith. And I'm looking forward to speaking with everyone afterwards. I do have my book for sale over there in my newsletter that you're welcome to sign up for. And my book's also available for sale at Alibi Books across the street if you want to support local bookstores too. So the way of faith. For every place that I am going, you have been there. You have walked around the corner before me and always beside me, whether or not I know or feel it. The many dreams that I await wait for me patiently, at times hurriedly, are walking along their own road while the changing gradient of sky looks back at me, gently carrying me forward. In sickness, I have learned to walk slowly, my body settling my wrestling arms down, anchored against the current that wants to rush toward everything. On the way of faith, I am a child, running against the walls, hiding from the giants and at play in the sand. And in this game, you are a periscope, handcrafted with a white and red milk carton, guarding me through it all. Thank you, everybody.
Go in yourself to find a way to express, what happens in musical performance, or, what happens when you're saying a prayer on the bathroom floor and you slip into the robe of your body. How do you find how to express that?
I could share a little bit first. So this book took me 8 years to write, even though it's 75 pages. I think because that very centered place, bless you, can be challenging to access at times, as I could really get into the hustling, grind, task to-do list. And for me to write poetry, I really have to step back from my life a bit and really slow down. I can't write when I'm in this go, go, go place. So I think that's why it took me so long, was because, sometimes I might write several poems in a month, but sometimes it might be a few months between me being able to write. But I do feel like I really need to access that more calm and centered place within me, so that way, sometimes I feel silly saying this, but so that way it kind of feels more like a channeling experience, where it's I'm letting the words just come to me, rather than trying to force them. And there's one poem in here that I wrote when I was on a 10-day meditation retreat, where you're not allowed to have any writing materials. So it was just it just kept happening over in my head, and it left a deep enough impression in my mind that as soon as I got access to a notebook after the retreat, I was I need to write this down, because it just kind of kept, it's images that kept repeating mentally. And even the other day, I did a reading at Bookshop Benicia, and it was my first time reading, it was my first time where my sister had ever attended one of my poetry readings, and she was like, I've never heard you talk like that. Because I feel even reading poetry in the same way that I'm writing, it's I need to kind of enter almost that a trance-like meditative state, which I'm not around my sister. So maybe I hope that answers some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that was a hard first question.
It's a long first question too. Let's shorten them.
Valdez, how about you? Where do you go yourself to find the words to talk about music?
Well, a lot of my poems are based on pieces that I play, or have performed, or have listened to over the years. So I do have very strong emotions to them. I wrote a piece about Rachmaninoff, about depression, because he was a very depressed composer. And I kind of put myself in his state of mind, because a few years ago I was very depressed because I didn't know if I was going to live or die. And so I took that depression and that pain and I kind of put it into words. And then I would go back to it periodically and add more to it. I'm really not known for writing short poems. I write long, drawn out poems. And it requires a lot of edits to make them more concise and more clear, because I do have a lot to say that go through my mind. I can wake up in the middle of the night and I can start writing things down and wake up my partner because it comes to me. And like the poem I did about Helen, she was my teacher for almost 15 years and she died from pancreatic cancer. And when we found out about it, she I think only had 2 months. And I chose to do that poem today because it was so different from the other ones, because this is coming up on her 4th anniversary of her death. And I wanted to honor her today because I made certain promises to her regarding my music. And I was never able to keep that promise because of my health and not knowing what the future held for me. But recently my health has gotten a little more stable. And so I wrote that poem not only about her, and it was based on the Scriabin piece of music, because I made 2 promises. The one that I'll share is that for me to continue playing the piano no matter what, even if it was only 5 minutes a day, go to the piano and play something. And I kept having dreams about her, and I kind of put it into words, and I would listen to Scriabin's music over and over again, and that kind of helped me write it out from my dreams, from my memories of her. And she performed that piece, so it just kind of all gelled together for me. It wasn't an easy piece to write. It took me a while to do it because I was so caught up in my emotions about it. I write deep from my emotions, from where I feel. I'm a crybaby. So I can listen to a piece of music and I can just start crying right there. That's how much it does to me. And so I try to put what I feel into words. If that.
Thank you for, and I think you both touched upon that idea of vulnerability that artists feel when they create. We get to know each other really quickly through our poems.
Hello everyone, Lilian Montalano. I sound different, so I'm going to try to speak slowly. I am from Nicaragua. English is not my language. I hope you understand. I am the daughter of a writer and a poet. My dad was put in jail for 12 months when I was 5 years old for raising his voice for the voiceless. I do not write to entertain. I write to raise my voice for the voiceless too. My question to both of you who are so fluent in the language, who are great writers and poets, have you ever thought of raising your voice for the voiceless or meaning to political topics?
I actually have written, I think, 3 political poems. 2 has been published, 1 is going to be published at the end of this month. And it's about immigrants and deportation and the struggle of this young boy being picked up by ICE. And I write about the emotions that he went through and his mother and father saying, no, he's an American, he's like you and me. But they don't care, they treat him so poorly, they don't feed him, they don't do anything. And in the poem, he has his hands on the bars, like lost, and just racist because they're treating him so badly. And eventually, after a few days, they let him go. And the mother says, there's no apology, no nothing. And the father just starts crying because he can't believe how they treated his son. But at the same time, he feels redemption for the country that he came to, and he hopes and prays that this time will pass. The other one I wrote is about fascism and democracy, and I wrote it in I wrote 2 poems in musical terms. I use music as a way to define what fascism is and how democracy is, without saying the current administration's name, but it's said in poetic terms about how the country is so different now and how we don't know what the future holds. You know, my parents did well. I actually have done better than my parents, but if I had a child today, I don't know if they would be doing as well as I am. And so that's the interplay between the two that's balanced, and I use music as a way to blend them both together.
Thank you, Valdez, for answering, Ilian, for such a great question. I definitely do think, as writers or poets, that there is, I think, a responsibility to be able to articulate and be a mirror for like the issues happening in our society. I don't necessarily think, we need to be a voice for every issue, like one that we might not, be well versed on enough, but especially the ones that like might impact our families the most or our communities the most, that we can really give voice to. Like I do write quite a bit in the On Country section around about Hawaii and about how Hawaiian sovereignty has been impacted because it has so much like affected my family and my lineage. And I write a lot about like working class issues such as like tenants' rights, the struggle to make a living and to make ends meet. And with one of the poems that I read, Caravan, like I do reference, immigration and, even someone who was a legal resident who was kidnapped by ICE while he was driving his partner to a tulip farm where she worked. Like that, just these, these images that we can capture in poetry, but in really concrete terms so that they're really easily understandable. I do think that is important for us.
Thank you,
And it seems to me that women are really important in a lot of your poetry. You have a lot of women that seem to like inspire or teach or just figure in very like reverential kind of ways. And I'm sort of interested in how women sort of inspire you creatively. And then tell me your name again, I'm so sorry.
Terra.
Terra, I feel like there's an intimacy in the way that you write. A lot of it seems to be very much the interior experience of these big themes that we see in the world. I don't know if that's a question, but it was just my takeaway from a lot of your work is that it feels like your approach is this very intimate approach to thinking about things like immigration, colonization, imperialism, capitalism, but how does it live within like our everyday lives and interaction?
I really appreciate the observation because I do think that's important in writing. Is like, I'm not a journalist, like I'm not just, only kind of capturing here are these objective things happening in the world. Like, yes, I want to write, like, speak truth to power, like talk about objective things, but like for me, poetry, it's like I really want to be able to connect with people. And I think to connect, it's like it's writing from that, personal experience and more of that intimate way. So thank you.
What inspired me about women, first of all, I don't write from a woman's perspective. I hate to say that. I either write from a man's or my perspective or kind of like neutral. But recently, I think I've written maybe 25 poems from a woman's point of view because my friend Melissa, who's my duet partner in poetry, inspired me to write from a woman's point of view when she asked me to write a poem exclusively for her to do at an open mic that she was doing at her recording studio. So that's how I got into it. And so because of that inspiration, I said, well, let me write more poems about the women in my life. I just, black women in particular. I have many friends, but I concentrate on black women and their impact on me from growing up and me as an adult man. So most of my female friends I've known my whole life, like Cheryl, Paula, a few other people. And so I wrote from their advice over the years, and I call it the poetic words of black women. And there may be like 2, no more than 3 stanzas, and I write about them in each of their voice. Like one is about Paula, her way of looking at things, or her advice she gave me over the years. Cheryl the same way, because they're women that I respect. They're women that I can go to for anything to ask, no matter what I do. Since we were little, they've always supported me. And then I think about my grandmother. I lived with her for 3 years after my mother died. And the things that she taught me about being a strong woman who had 8 kids, no husband, and had to raise them on her own. And then other women, particularly Jacalyn, who I admire, who I look up to, I was just blown away by her beautiful artwork, which she needs to be displaying all over the place, which I want one. And so I was on the internet and I saw her drawing this beautiful portrait of a black woman. And so I wrote a poem about it and I sent it to her and I asked her if I could read it and put it in my book, because I was so inspired not only by her talent, but the voice and the message that she had. And in that, she wrote a personal note to her daughter, which kind of topped off that whole poem into intimacy of it that really resonated with me. So I try to channel these wonderful women who I admire and who inspire me. And all thanks to my friend Melissa. She just set me on this different course I've never even thought about doing.
Very cool. I think John had a question in the back.
Good afternoon. I'm going to take a left turn right here and wonder, have you thought a little bit about, intellectually, about writing, having something to do with today's monumental subjects that we're experiencing, such as snaps, or what are people going to do with artificial intelligence and how it's going to affect the world. Can you begin to think through that process and what you'd like to share with us?
I recently started trying to write about current events. If I hear something in the news, or if I hear something that motivates me, I try to maybe do an outline of something. Those topics are important to me because I realize I just turned 65. I don't look like it though. I just turned 65 and I retired officially. And I realized, and I was talking to my partner about this a couple of times this week, that this government shutdown and these increase in premiums and stuff really is gonna be impacting me, because for so many years, I kind of took health insurance and my coverage for granted. I was spoiled. I could go to the doctor, I have some expensive medications that I had no idea they were so high. One of my medications years ago was $5,000. I didn't have to pay a penny. I turned 65 and I was shell-shocked. All this time I took these things that the government don't do or do or half-ass, now affects me and my future. And so I feel like I need to start writing about that and how I feel about that, because it's impacting my life, and just, it's so easy to take those kind of things for granted when you're working and you have this income, you're getting pay raises. Now you're living on a set income, you're on Medicare, maybe you're lucky, you have supplemental things, but it's just crazy. And the first of the year, premiums going up, that's gonna affect me. I just got a letter the other day saying that my Kaiser's going up $100 because they don't know what's gonna happen with the government shutdown and all this other stuff. They don't get their act together and pass this HCA, whatever it is. So yeah, those things are on my mind, and I am writing about it.
I love that question. Thank you so much. And like I believe you mentioned, talking about, writing about current issues such as, the SNAP pauses or AI. And I think for me, I often need to digest what's happening for a while before I go to write a poem about it. Like poetry is usually not my first instinct, especially, that a lot of these things do personally affect me. So I'm more, it's I jump into survival mode and how can I, and having conversations with people first before I just want to go in and write a poem about it. So yeah, it takes time to digest before writing. And, with things like AI is, a topic that I'm not super well versed on, but I do touch on in a couple poems in my book about the impact of screen and phone addiction, of social media addiction, and also there's one poem where I'm having trouble really understanding the authenticity of someone that I was working with, where it was I felt like they were fake crying, and then so I Google the answer so AI can tell me who's real and who's not. So it's even though I'm not really intellectually talking about AI, I am talking about the greater issue of why am I going to artificial intelligence to tell me what my gut already knows, rather than trusting my instincts and trusting other people. Why am I jumping to this? So yeah, just again trying to go at it from the angle that feels more personal from what I can understand.
Yeah, Diana, right here, Nicole.
Well, I just have to say I'm really happy to come today and hear, your new voices and perspectives. That really makes a difference to me. And as a fellow poet and writer, I just feel it's so important to address what's in your heart, what your own personal experiences are. Because when you speak your truth, that is where your power is, right? And especially when you're talking about the vulnerable places in your life, those is what inspire people and what makes people want to change. And I just see how important it is to write and to speak, locally just like this, and to have conversations. And it really compels me, because I haven't been writing lately too much. I did write a big, huge, long letter this week. But I just, this whole discussion has just inspired me to write about the things that I'm going through in terms of, even the SNAP benefits and AI and immigration and ICE and all those things, because those are the things that are on my mind right now, and I mean, it's I think, most of us are feeling vulnerable right now in one way or the other, and I think that we need to talk about that, because through talking about it, we can support each other, and we hear that, and it helps to have that community to talk to. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Well said.
I just wanted to say, kids and students are going around now saying 6-7. 6-7. I wrote a poem about that this morning, which is kind of fun for me anyway. Any thoughts about what it means to you? Does it mean anything? Or do you have any comments at all about 6-7?
I don't know.
I've been hearing it because I have an 8-year-old niece, so I hear her say 6-7, and I've probably asked so many people in my family. I don't get it. I don't know what this means. It's another passing, saying, probably social media trend that's a little bit beyond me. I've heard it means this or that, But other people have also told me it's absolutely not that it's meaningless. So it's fun. But it is nice to write like playful poems too.
I heard some parents think that 6/7 is a secret language that the teenagers are sharing, but they're not giving it any input to their parents.
That's funny.
So it's kind of
No translation.
Yeah.
6/7.
And here we are talking about it, so the kids are successful.
Yes, they
They're
are.
all
Yeah.
wondering what it means. So Mila J, I know you're older than Tara's 8-year-old niece. You don't have any insights on 6/7, do you? Pardon me?
I do.
Let's hear it.
So I've been hearing in my class, I teach digital art to, I teach digital art to, I teach it to 7 to 12-year-olds, and so I've been hearing it a lot, and I found out what it is. Even though I am very much online, I'm not that much into the memes like that, but I did find out what it meant. It comes from a rap song where the singer says 6/7 a lot, and that's apparently where that comes from. I guess they just found it kind of funny, but it has no meaning.
Thank you. And unless anyone else has a comment, I want to thank Valdez and Terra for sharing their words, their work, their spirits, their big feelings and ideas and thoughts. It just means so much to come together in this way and be inspired, as Diana said. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.